Let's do the next one. This time I've got my red arrow just past the 2, not all the way to the 3, so I know this is 2 whole inches, and then a fraction of an inch. What is that fraction? I want to figure it out. Okay. Again, there's 2 ways that you could approach this question. One is that you could count how many small divisions it is, okay? And the other one that you could use, the other method, is you could notice that it happens to fall on one of those longer lines. And remember that we said the inch is also divided into 4 divisions, okay? So when I look at that, that first division is 1/4 of an inch. The second one would be 2/4 or 1/2 of an inch. Okay, the third one would be 3/4 of an inch, and that last one would be a full inch, so 4/4 or 3 inches in that case. Okay, so the fact that I see that it does fall in one of those major 4 divisions, I could quickly go to my answer and say, hey, that's 1, 2 1/4 inches. Okay. There's my answer. Now, again, if you like to just stick with one method all the time, you could count how many small divisions, okay, past the 2, how many we have. Well, we have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so another way I could write that is 2 and 4/16 of an inch. There's 16 small divisions in total, so I'm going to take that number, okay, and then if you can reduce that fraction, you do so. 4 and 16 both can be divided by 4. Okay, the common factor between 4 and 16 is 4. So I'm going to reduce 4 over 16 to be 2 and 1/4 of an inch. Okay. So no matter how you go about measuring, you're going to get the correct answer. Okay, there's just more than one way to measure something using an imperial ruler. A couple more. Oh, sorry. Okay. C, this time we've got our marking not on one of the major 4 divisions, but this time it's actually on one of the 8th divisions. So again, there's 2 ways to do this. 1 is going to be my first number because I see that I'm past 1 whole inch, but I'm not all the way to 2. Okay, so I'm at 1. Now I could count. I notice here, okay, I've got on my ruler, I notice that I do have, okay, a total of 8 medium-sized divisions, and I notice that my arrow is right on one of those. So if we counted those, this one would be 1/8. Okay, the next one would be 2/8. Okay, 3/8, 4/8, which is also a half. And here I am at 5/8. Okay, so 1 and 5/8 of an inch. That's my answer. If you would prefer to count every small division, you could do that as well. Let's see how many small divisions we are past the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so we are at 1 inch and 10 small divisions. There's a total of 16 small divisions. So I can reduce that fraction. Again, I look at 10 and 16 and say, what number would divide into both of those numbers? What's the common factor of 10 and 16? Okay, in this case, it's just a 2. Okay, nothing greater than a 2 will divide into those numbers. So I get 1 and 5/8 inches. Okay. So if I'm going to leave my answer in a fraction, it will look like this. The other option that you have here is you could express this as a decimal. Okay. If you take your calculator, you think about it in your head, 5 divided by 8. Okay, if I put that into my calculator, I get 1.625 inches. So if I prefer to use a decimal here, I mean, these 2 values are the same. Okay, 1.625 inches. And if I chose to use the method where I counted the small divisions, I would have ended up with this number right here, okay, which is 1 and 10/16. Notice if you divide 10 by 16, you get the exact same number, 1.625 inches. All right, so if you prefer to express it as a decimal, you're simply just going to divide the number on the top of your fraction by the number of in the bottom of your fraction, okay, to get the decimal places. All right, a couple of more difficult questions here, which is now going to pull into some information that we've used up until now, so including like circumference, maybe scale factors, okay, pulling it all together using imperial units. So let's do a couple of the problems. I'd like you to open your textbook up to page 25, and if you need to pause this video right now and do that, go ahead. Okay, so we should be looking at page 25 in our textbook, and there's a photograph of a muskox there in the example. It's called, I think it's example 1 on page 25. It says there, if the photo uses a scale of 1 to 30, find the height of the muskox, okay, in feet and in inches. Okay, so what I'm looking for is the actual height. I would like to know what is the real life height. And what I want to do here is I want to report it in a certain number of whole feet, and then the leftover, because if this muskox is bigger, let's say it's bigger than 5 feet, okay, I want to report the remainder in inches. So I'm going to have a number that's going to be, maybe 5 feet and 7 inches or something like that, okay? That's what I'm looking to do. We'll deal with how to express feet and inches in a moment, but we have, this is a scale factor problem, and I'm given the scale 1 to 30. Okay, so let's think about that, right? Remember that your scale, if it's expressed as a ratio, 1 to 30 means that the image, in this case the photo, okay, 1 unit on the photo represents 30 units in real life, or 30 inches in real life if you were to measure the photo in inches. I could also express that with a scale factor. So my scale factor for this photo, okay, is equal to, well, it's the real life over the photo, so 30 over 1. In other words, it's equal to 30. Okay, so anything I measure from this photo, I'm going to multiply it by 30 to give me the real life measurement. Okay. So what would we do? Looking at our photo, I don't actually know, just by looking at the photo of the muskox, what the height is. So I'm going to get my ruler out, and I'm going to measure the height in inches. Okay, so here's our first step. So you're going to measure the height of this muskox in inches. I'm going to measure it in inches. Why? Because I know eventually I'm going to have to report it in inches and feet. So there's not a lot of point in measuring it in centimeters. You could do that, but then you have to convert to inches. Okay, so when I measure it in inches, if you get your ruler out and you measure from the bottom of the muskox to the top of it, you should get approximately 2 1/4 inches. Okay, which is the same as 2. If you take and divide 1 by 4, that's 1/4 or 0.25, okay, inches. So there's my photo height. Okay, that's my photo height. In real life, I know this muskox is 30 times bigger than what I measure in my photo. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is find the real height, or we'll call it the real life height. Okay, so I take that 2.25 inches, and I'm going to multiply it by my scale factor, which is 30. Okay, 30 times 2.25 equals 67.5 inches. Okay, that is my real life height. So the first step here was just to figure out how big the muskox is in the photo, and the second step was to apply the scale factor. Okay, so I multiplied it by my scale factor. There's my answer. That answer is in inches. I'd like to express this answer in whole feet and then in inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert to feet. So let's take our answer in inches, and what I want is feet. Okay, what I have is 67.5 inches, And now we're going to multiply by what we know, that's our conversion factor, to get us from inches to feet. Okay. Again, have a look at your data booklet for a moment. Go to that front page, and you're looking for a conversion factor that takes you between inches and feet. And here it is right here. It's 12. There are 12 inches in a foot. Okay, so I'm going to use that conversion factor, and I'm going to plug it in here. So it looks like this. Okay. Okay, I know, over to the side, I'll write my conversion factor. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. All right, so I'm going to put my inches on the bottom, 12 inches on the bottom, 1 foot on the top. So in other words, I'm just going to divide this number by 12, and that's going to tell me how many feet are in 67.5 inches. When I do that, my answer comes out to be 5.625 feet. All right. That means that this muskox is 5 feet high or 5 feet tall, and then the remainder of that I can convert back into inches for my answer. Bear with me here a moment, okay? So when you do this, that tells you that there are 5 whole feet, okay? The imperial system generally uses whole feet followed by inches. So it doesn't report an answer like this, 5.625 feet. Instead, it tells you the whole feet, and then it takes that last little part here, 0.625, and we're going to convert that back into inches. Okay? So we're going to change this back to inches. And you could just do this in your head if you wanted to. You know now your conversion factor is that every foot is equal to 12 inches. So if you have this number, okay, a little more than half a foot, 0.625 feet, if we just multiply that by 12, it's going to give us the number of inches. Okay? I'll do it as a unit conversion for you. Okay, so what you're really going to do is you're going to be multiplying by 12 here if you want to do it quickly in your head. But if you're not sure whether to multiply or divide, just take that number and set it up again as a conversion. So let me do that for you. Okay, I'm just going to add a new page here. 1 second. Okay, so at the bottom of your page there, if you've got a little bit more room, okay, we can convert, okay, back to inches. So you just take that little remainder, which was 0.625 feet, all right, and I'm going to multiply it by my conversion factor. I want to end up in inches. So what I want is inches. It's equal to what I have times what I know. So this time I'm going to use that same conversion factor, except I want to put the 1 foot on the bottom and the 12 inches on the top. All right, feet cancel out. Now that tells me to multiply that number by 12. So I do that, and I get 7.5 inches, essentially. Okay. Good. Okay. So there's the remainder. That's what I can go back, and I can go back to my original question here, and I can report my answer in feet and in inches. So here's going to be my answer. I'm going to come up here again, my real life height. This is my final answer. Well, the muskox measured 5 whole feet, so I'm going to write 5 there in feet. And the remainder, instead of writing 0.625 feet, I reported this in inches, and it was 7.5. You might even choose here to round this number up to 8, and that would be okay too. Okay, 5 feet 8 inches. 5 feet 7.5 inches. A little bit of work when we're dealing with the imperial system, because often it likes to report answers with a combination of units. But again, not difficult once we come up with our plan and we just think about how we use our unit analysis, or we use what I want equals what I have times what I know to convert between units.